What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, but before we get into that, please make sure you hit that like button and also subscribe if you're someone new. Now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right into it, and we're starting off with Balan Balan Wonderworld for every single system out there, even the Atari. So let's talk about this, guys. So this game obviously had a little bit of a rough stretch with the demo, like every button being mapped to jump and all sorts of problems that people had. I mean, I never thought the game looked good, and I barely ever talked about it on my channel because the game never actually looked good, but there has been a little bit of a following for this game because, of course, it's made by some pretty good developers, or at least guys that have made some great stuff before in the past. And obviously there was a lot of feedback from the demo, right? It got slammed all over the place. You know, it wasn't the AAA Knights game that maybe some people thought it could be. And the developers of the game have actually talked about the demo response and what they plan to do. And one of the things is a day one patch. So the producer of the game, his name is Noriyoshi Fujimoto, actually talked about it recently. So let's get into what he had to say. Quote, "Staying true to the nature of Balan Wonderworld, I would like for us to follow in the footsteps of the enigmatic maestro, Balan, and find balance within our heart, especially when it comes to addressing feedback that we've received from our demo. There's been a wide range of opinions and responses to the demo, and unfortunately, at the current stage of development, it simply isn't feasible to reflect every piece of feedback into the game. However, to offer you all a more balanced gameplay experience, we will be implementing a day one patch for the full game. Now, specifically, the patch will adjust movement controls, camera movement, and rebalancing on the difficulty. There's just over 1 week left until launch now, so I hope you all enjoy the world of Wonderworld to your heart's content." So the game is dropping on a very interesting day. Some of you guys might know the game. Another game that's dropping on the same day, a little game called Monster Hunter Rise for the Nintendo Switch is dropping on the same day, March 26th. So I have to ask, I mean, I'm a huge Square Enix fan, and I like Square Enix, I like what they do, but this just might be a mistake. One, dropping on the same day as Monster Hunter Rise. I'm not sure if that's a great idea. But also, two, like, not delaying the demo further. Now, I understand why, or at least not delaying the demo, not delaying the game further. Now, and I understand why they're not delaying the game, because they probably see it as, you know what, if we delay it, it's going to cost us way more money, and this game is not going to make a lot of money anyways. And if you look at the pre-order sales aren't very good either. So I guess if the pre-order sales were like phenomenal, then I probably think maybe they delayed the game because they know they have some guaranteed lock-ins. But I'm guessing the pre-order sales don't justify the delay of the game. And they just said, let's just go with it, put out this day one patch. And obviously it's going to get discounted soon, and hopefully people just pick it up later down the road because it's $60. And if you're looking at the game, is this really a $60 produced type of game? I mean, maybe for some people, value is subjective. I always say that, but for a lot of people, it is not. So maybe they're thinking on the back end, they can turn it into something special, and it can be kind of like a cult hit or something, because that's the only strategy that I can think, because this game definitely needs a delay. Based off of what we played in the demo, it needs a delay. It's not just graphical stuff where people say, oh, the graphics don't work, or there's a little glitch here and there with like the friends list or something like that. This is like full-on problems across the board when it comes to the core game design. But maybe the game can't be saved. Maybe it's just too late and the game just isn't good. I'm not really sure. But either way, I know that I'm not excited to play it right now at this point, and based off of that demo, they got a lot of stuff to fix, and maybe they fix it over the course of time. But right now, it's not looking so good for Balan Wonderworld, but we'll see how it actually works out once the game comes out and what they do with this day one patch. So what are your thoughts on Balan Wonderworld getting a day one patch and them addressing a few different things here with the game? Do you still think it could be a good game, or are you still planning on maybe picking it up? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and next up, we're going to be talking about if Nintendo actually was the silent killer of E3. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because we know that E3, they're not going to have a physical presence at the Los Angeles Convention Center this year. Obviously, COVID is still a thing, so that's not going to happen. But it does seem like the foreseeable future that E3 physical is not going to be a thing anytime soon. And if you look at it, the dynamics of this whole thing, right? And where does Nintendo kind of come into it? Because I was covering Nintendo back in 2013 when they first stated that they will no longer do a live presentation and instead they're going to do their Nintendo Direct, which was their digital presentation at E3. And back in 2013, this was a huge deal. So many people said Nintendo is skipping E3. Nintendo is done with E3, even though Nintendo clearly made it like loud and clear that they were going to do a digital event. They had already been doing directs for the past couple years, but so many people said that Nintendo is done, they're finished, they don't have any games to show. That's the reason why they're skipping, the Wii U's failing. All this stuff, and these digital events aren't the same as live presentations. Everyone needs to go to E3. That's how you sell your system. That's how you market your system. Heck, you can fast forward all the way to 2016 or so when Nintendo didn't have the Switch at E3 and people said the same thing because, of course, everything that happened with the Wii U. But if you look at it, Nintendo Directs, especially with the pandemic, especially when there's been times where people can't gather for live conventions and stuff, Nintendo Directs and that formula and that base has been copied over and over and over at this point, not only from the other console manufacturers, from Microsoft and Sony, but also from third-party developers as well. We've seen independent developers do direct style presentations. We've seen major developers do direct style presentations. And now we're at the point here to where it seems like, based off of everything that we know so far, E3 is going to struggle to even get people to go to the digital presentation, which these publishers and these developers have to pay for this type of thing because they have to pay for their booths at E3. It's all very expensive, renting out these places and all that. Nintendo figured out a way to get it done, to get your games out to the masses, directly to the audiences around the world, and still have crazy impact with amazing sales. And over the course of all this time, a lot of the other developers and publishers have seen that you can do that and you do not need E3 anymore. E3 is not a needed element in order for your game to get that worldwide shine. You can pick a date, you can pick a time, you can tease, you can do all sorts of things to build up hype and to build up levels of anticipation for your presentation and get people streaming. With the rise of social media and with the rise of restreaming and content, when it comes to streamers, YouTube, Twitch, all these different places, you're going to get millions upon millions of eyes on your product. So I think personally, this is just what I think that Nintendo inadvertently, but at the same time, maybe in the back of their mind, said, hey, you know what? We don't necessarily need this anymore, because they saw what happened with the Wii U and how the misinformation went rampant at E3, partly due to their fault, right? It's not just them, but partly due to them, and the media took off with it. And some people feel that they never recovered from people just thinking that the Wii U was just an add-on to the Wii. Obviously, there was more dynamics to it with the marketing and everything, but E3 is the train that got that going. And when you do your own direct, you can control the narrative. You can control exactly what is going on. And if you're looking at it, Square Enix, they have their presentation that they're doing, their Square Enix Presents, the first in the line of that series. Now, they've done direct style presentations before. They did that at E3 a bit ago. They had Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was kind of a mix between a live show and also a Nintendo Direct where they just rolled trailers and it just showed games. That is a direct style presentation, and they just showed a live audience, almost kind of like how Nintendo does that with their New York events, right? They'll show the direct and people can watch it live. A little bit different, but very similar in a sense to what Square Enix did before too. So if you're looking at it this way, I think a lot of these developers and publishers are thinking just, hey, wait a minute, we can put together our own show, we can hype it up, we can get people restreaming the event, we can get people talking about it, and we don't need to pay these fees to be at E3. We don't need to worry about having this one show where we have to make sure things are going, when we can have multiple shows and split up the announcements and not get overshadowed by this game or that game or these other games, and have our day where everyone's going to be paying attention to what we do. So I think inadvertently, these Nintendo Directs and what Nintendo started back in 2010, 2011 has grown to the point to where they pretty much rendered E3 irrelevant at this point. Now, of course, is E3 still a name out there? Absolutely. Do I think that E3 will continue in some capacity in the future? Probably, maybe, with some of the stuff. But do you need to be there like everyone thought that you needed to be there before in the past? Absolutely not. Not anymore. Nintendo didn't even bring the Switch to E3, and look at how the Switch is doing. So between Nintendo's Directs, between them skipping launching a system and having it before the system launch. This has been something that's pretty much always been a thing for Nintendo, to have it there. They said, nope, don't have to have it there. We're going to do our directs. We don't necessarily have to be at the E3 showing everything when it comes to a live presentation. They kind of inadvertently killed it at this point, because if Nintendo never started that format and that way of doing things, how advanced would it be for everybody else? We have the state of plays. We have other stuff. Sony has pretty much said, yeah, E3, yeah, we're good on that too, right? They have their state of plays that they're doing. Yes, they still need to make them a bit better, but they'll get better as they get more games to come out on the PlayStation 5, right? God of War and all that stuff like that. So to me, it seems like Nintendo kind of inadvertently did it, but at the same time, in the back of their mind said, hey, if we ever need to not have E3, we have our backup plan. We have our way to get things done. And I think it worked pretty spectacularly, in my opinion. But what are your thoughts on this when it comes to it? Did Nintendo kind of inadvertently kill E3? Do you think that E3 still would be fine? Let's say Nintendo never did directs and everything still happened the way that it was supposed to be. How would things be? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here, we have a new Switch Fortnite Joy Con Bundle that has been revealed, and the colors are pretty sweet here. Got some nice blue and yellow. So this summer, Switch owners can get their hands on the sleek Joy-Con Fortnite Fleet Force Bundle. The package includes a, quote, uniquely designed yellow Joy-Con and blue Joy-Con, 500 V-Bucks, and a download code for in-game cosmetics. So not bad at all. The Switch Joy-Con Fortnite Fleet Force Bundle is due out on June 4th. Now, that's pretty cool. I like the fact that they're having some new bundles here. Nintendo of America did put this up on Twitter. We didn't get a price for it at all. I like the colors, though, and it looks pretty cool when it comes to some of the stuff that you get, like the hang glider and all that. I'm not really into Fortnite anymore, but I guess if you're buying some Joy-Cons, this would probably be something to get, and it'll make your Switch kind of look dope. I do like the colors, though. The blue and the yellow looks really cool. But I mean, yeah, brand new bundle for you guys out there if you're into Fortnite, and if you want to get a new pair of Joy-Cons. We all know about the whole drift situation that's going on, so if you want to get a new pair, you can pick up this Fortnite bundle. We don't know the price, but I'm guessing it's just going to be the same price as the normal Joy-Cons. I don't know if they're going to charge a lot more for them, but if you're into Fortnite and you want some V-Bucks in addition to some exclusive items in there, you can check out that Fortnite Fleet Bundle. So what are your thoughts on these Joy-Cons? You like the colors? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the last topic here, guys, we've got a 8BitO brand new controller. These guys make some of the best controllers, period, on the market for a multitude of systems. So next month, 8BitO will be coming out with its latest device. The Pro 2 Bluetooth controller has been announced. It will work with the Nintendo Switch much like previous products. Now, the 8BitO Pro 2 Bluetooth controller sports features like a pair of pro level back buttons, custom profile switching, and more. It actually looks really good. I already have two of the 8BitO Pro controllers, so for me, I'm not sure. I mean, there's like too much Switch Enhanced Pro back buttons. Oh, there's all this like crazy stuff in there that just seems extremely advanced, and I'm not sure if I even need all of that, you know, when it comes down to it. So I think I'm good with the controllers that I already do have from them. But if you don't have the controllers already, I think they're solid. I think they're still $50. You can pre-order them. I'll have a link in the description below for you guys. And they're good-looking controllers. They're very good-looking controllers. I love the style of them. And that's why I bought two of them myself and actually reviewed one on my channel along with Hades. So also, if you want something with a good D-pad and not have to worry about drift at all too, this might be a good controller option for you outside of the regular Pro controller. But you also have to remember, guys, there's no like HD rumble in there, so there's none of that. So that's kind of a bummer, because HD rumble is cool when implemented really well, and there's a number of games that do use it pretty well. But outside of that, if you're trying to play some like classic games or indie games and stuff like that, I mean, this controller is really good. Or if you need to play something that is heavy use on the D-pad for accurate inputs, Mortal Kombat is a game, or other fighting game, that I think this would be a really good controller for it. So what are your thoughts on all the different topics that we discussed here today? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all the latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.